I am honored to be with all of the veterans here, and I always learn something by being in your company in those faraway places. I learned about dedication, I learned about patriotism, I learned about sacrifice, and I learned what a good group of guys and women who are out there carrying the flag and wearing the uniform of the United States of America. And I am especially pleased today to be in the company of two Medal of Honor recipients. Homer L. Wise, a sergeant from World War II, welcome home, Homer, and Paul Buca.
Homer Wise was a very special soldier. He was on a few occasions here in Stamford when I was visiting my aunts and uncles who lived in Stamford for many, many, many years. He was one of the most decorated soldiers of World War II. I'm particularly honored that my comrades from VFW Post 9617 are here today. I'd like to give them a hand.
I want to tell you a little bit about our principal speaker. Paul Buca was born in Washington, D.C. His paternal grandfather came to America from Croatia. Paul's father was an American serviceman, an American Army officer, and Paul was graduated from West Point. He taught there. He still lectures there. He earned an MBA from Stanford University. In high school, Buca, who lives in Connecticut now and who headed an office, a corporation just a few blocks from here for a number of years, was an all-American swimmer when he was in high school. He still, he says, holds some national swimming records, and I'll check on those someday, Paul, but I think they're right. He was sent to Vietnam in 1967. When he returned home, Captain Buca wore a Bronze Star, a Purple Heart, and a chest full of other ribbons. The Medal of Honor was awarded to him by President Richard Nixon. The Medal of Honor citation signed by the President said in part, "For conspicuous gallantry at the risk of his life, above and beyond the call of duty, Captain Buca aggressively and courageously led his men in the destruction of enemy fortifications and base areas. Captain Buca acted with complete disregard for his own safety. Seeing his men were pinned down by heavy machine gun fire from a concealed bunker, Captain Buca crawled through the hail of fire to single-handedly destroy that bunker with grenades. During this heroic battle, during this heroic action, Captain Buca received a painful shrapnel wound. Using flashlights in complete view of enemy snipers, he directed the medical evacuation of 3 air ambulance loads of serious wounded personnel. During the period of intense combat, Captain Buca, by his extraordinary heroism, inspirational example, outstanding leadership and professional competence, led his company in the decimation of a superior enemy force. His bravery and gallantry at the risk of his life are in the highest traditions of the military service. Captain Buca has reflected great credit on himself, his unit, and the U.S. Army.
And today we came together here to pay attention to a man who served this country as so many others have served. If you look at what we've asked our kids to do in the last decade, we've asked them to deploy to a land they cannot find on a map, a land whose language they cannot speak, a land whose culture they do not understand, but they go. And they go again, and again, and again, and again. Why? Because you and I asked them to do so. This year and the year after, they'll be asked to go to another land. A land they know its location on a map, a land whose language they speak and whose culture they understand well. They will be asked to come home. And then it's up to us to serve them as they have served us. Right now, we hear all the reports that unemployment is good for veterans. They weren't when Homer Wise came home, but they eventually became good. When our kids are coming home, it's terrible. You can read in the press that people put out the statistics that, my gosh, veterans are employed at a higher rate than non-veterans. That might be true of some veterans, but it's not true of the 18 to 24-year-old veteran or the women veterans. For the 18 to 24-year-olds, the unemployment rate that includes those who dropped out and gave up on the American dream at that young age, and those who still cannot find a job, is in excess of 60%. And among women, it's 58%. Out of the 18 to 24-year-olds, those are the people who bear the brunt of battle. It is not the captains, it's not the majors, the colonels, the generals, and it's certainly not the politicians. It is the young among us who are the junior soldiers, which mean they are the ones who ask what it is you would have me do, and they are told what to do, and they are expected to do it. And they have gone for over a decade, knowing that that is their role. And now they're coming home to us. And it's our job to serve them. And when people come to me and they say, what can we do? And I say, well, you know, please don't say thank you for your service. I was with a sergeant in D.C. and a man slapped him on the back and said, thank you for your service, and went on. He said, no, sir, I don't need that. That's just too easy. You didn't ask me how my wife's doing, how my kids are doing. You didn't ask me if I'm employed or unemployed. You didn't even ask me where I'm from. And I was a bit shocked that this NCO had the guts to stand up. He said, you didn't ask why I'm here to bury my men. So things aren't going well, and no, don't thank me for my service. Thank my men for the sacrifice they made for each and every one of you. And that's a lesson that we take from events like this. It was a time when Homer Wise came back. They used the words heroes. They used the words winner to those who had received the Medal of Honor. They came home to a different spirit, a spirit that we're only beginning to approximate today. In between our brothers from the Korean War, a war that was truly forgotten, out of sight, out of mind, followed by the Vietnam War, a war that no one wanted to be fighting. No one had the guts to establish the objective that the young men and women could achieve and then come home. When we came home, people awarded the Medal of Honor, we said, that is for our men. So I stand before you, not as a Medal of Honor winner, but as a recipient of an award that was earned by the men with whom I had the privilege of serving. And Homer Wise would say the same thing. In each and every Medal of Honor recipient, all 79 of those that are living today would say the exact same thing. I wear this medal for those who did not receive it, but earned it. Those are the men and women who wear and have worn the uniform of this great land. So today, I want you to just think about what you've given. There's one thing that we all possess that is truly precious. One thing that is truly finite. And unfortunately, in almost all instances, it's more finite than we would have. And that is our time. Today, you have given of your time so that those who have worn the uniform of the United States of America and their families know that you are grateful. When you see a soldier on the street, a sailor, an airman, a Marine, a Coast Guardsman, don't just slap them on the back and say thank you for your service. Ask them, how's it going? Can I help you? They may be going through tough times, but they have one thing that distinguishes them from many others. They were willing to die for this country, and for you and for me. Take the time to ask them how they are.